Welcome to the Dink and Dish podcast. My name is Barbara Brodowski, and I'm here with fitness legend and icon Tammy Lee Webb. And we are two pickleball enthusiasts. We love pickleball and fitness experts. So our actual background is fitness, and our mission in life is to just convince everybody that dinking's not a
It's
warm up.
not a warm up. Yes.
It's so
Dink
funny
is
because I
not.
said that yesterday to the guy, one of the managers at this new place I play at the Pickler. And I said, I gave him my card and I explained, like, I see you guys have a whole foam rolling section over there, but no one knows how to use it, you know? So hopefully, because I said, because dinking's not a warm up. And he laughed. I'm like, it'll be on a shirt
Yeah,
someday. It'll be on a shirt
that's
someday.
right.
How
Maybe
was your
from
pickleball
us.
week?
It was good. I've been catching up on my pickling because I was, gone for a while. And, um, I noticed just yesterday that because I had gotten 2 shots of cortisol
Oh, yeah.
in my knees before I left. So it's great. I can run for the balls. What it does, it masks what's really going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I played a little bit too hard yesterday
Mm-hmm.
running down balls, and I felt it later. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh. So I just have to be a little bit more cautious of what it is that I'm doing and know that my knees are not 100%.
I'll tell you what,
But
though, these 80-year-old men I play with at my dad's house, they don't move a whole lot and they still kick my butts.
okay, what is that?
I don't know. I don't
Do they
know. I
just have a
don't
long
know.
wingspan and
They
they
have a
can just,
long wingspan and they're good at the dinking and they're
yeah.
patient. And the one thing I do want to work on, Tammy Lee, is learning how to slow down the game. Because I
Mm,
realized, I think it was yesterday, I played with a chick that could slow it down nice and thought, Dad, what an art that is. And I don't even feel like the league I'm playing in right now, I say I'm in over my head. I'm one of the weaker players. So the whole time I play, I feel like I'm just trying to keep my head above the water.
yeah.
And I don't have a whole lot of time to think strategy. I just think get the ball back. So my
Yeah.
goal is to get to the level where I can actually start thinking about slowing down the game. Because when you play against bangers and you slow it down, there is such a disadvantage for them. And I did catch that yesterday. I was telling my girlfriend, I'm like,
Yeah.
we need to slow it down. She's like, I know. I'm like, but we don't know how.
Well, I've been taking filling in for lessons. A couple of the girls take lessons every week.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, they are excelling over the
Yeah.
rest of us, but the rest of us, we want to play socially.
Yeah.
But there's still that little competitiveness in all of us. And so every once in a while, when someone cannot make their weekly lesson, they will ask me to fill in. I'm like,
Hmm.
yeah, sure. And that is the thing that we learned. The woman, the pro that teaches it, her name's Gigi, and she's really great about showing us how to slow it down.
Yeah.
And it's really that drop shot, into the
Yeah. Third
kitchen
drop
and
shot.
slow
Yep.
it instead of banging it.
Banging it.
But and so then I'll go and play, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just try and get it, and then it just doesn't go over the net, and then you get mad,
I
and you're just
know.
like,
And then I'm like, what am I
boom, I'm
doing?
just gonna hit
Changing
it.
my. It sounds like
At
me.
least I know it gets over the net.
God, that was me and Tony yesterday, and we were playing two players that were better than us because we all know we're at that new place, the Pickler, but we know our rankings from Duper. And these ladies always play on courts 1 and 2. We're on courts 3, 4, and 5, and there's a big difference between our skill level and their skill level.
Hmm.
But if we play our best game, we can pull out a win. And we beat these two people yesterday, and the whole time we kept saying de-escalate. We're like, forget about it, abort the de-escalation, because it just sometimes it works, but
Yeah.
I do need to get more in lessons. I haven't. We used to have this thing called Dink Buddies, no, Drill Buddies, and there's like 8 of us, and the pro would message us and say, hey, do you want to come in for 30 minutes? And we would. And I haven't done that in a while. I need to get back into something like that where I can just practice that third
Yeah.
shot drop and like reset the game, because I don't reset it. I just try to beat the ball down their throat, and
Right. Because you're trying to
that's
to win to win the match.
yeah,
But at
yeah.
the same time, I really feel like by taking these lessons, I'm reminded of when I used to play tennis. I used to play a lot of tennis and as well as in leagues. Is that when you do have drills and you do have someone coaching you and having you pick out the things that, hey, did you notice you didn't do this or that?
Mm-hmm.
So for instance, I was slow getting in, and I think I was slow getting up to the kitchen because of my knees in the past. But
Hmm.
right now I can run, I can get up there, and so I've
Hmm.
really been working hard at getting up to the kitchen. And yesterday, when I was playing with a partner who was actually my tennis partner for years. I mean, I just love her.
Okay.
She's a lefty. We do well together. And all of a sudden, she was hanging back. And when somebody's hanging back, someone's either got to go back with you, or
Yes.
you got to get
Yes.
up.
Yep.
And and it's just usually not her. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, she's lagging, and of course I'm going to get killed if it gets
Right.
short. You're done. And I think that's the thing that frustrates me is if you're playing casually, you got to remember that, because if others are not trying to improve themselves
Yeah.
and you're working on something, then you can't expect them to
Yep.
play along. And then I noticed that some of the girls that do take the lessons, I like playing with. We play well together because we have been taught to work on these certain things.
Yep. Yep. It's
But
funny because when I played with a lady who's remarkably better than me, she's always on court one when I'm on court 4 or 5. And in the new league I signed up for, that 3.5 and over league, I'm partnered with her sometimes. And she did say, if I'm when I get up to the net, when I drop it, she said, you've got to get up to the net. I'm like, I know these things. Like, I know these things. But in my brain, it's like self protection because they do hit it harder than I'm used to. I fight with my paddle right now. It's so dumb, Tammy Lee. Like, I fight with how to hold my paddle at the net all of a sudden. Like, I'm like, I can't get my hand right. It's like all of a sudden I have all
yeah,
these things that are happening because I feel like I'm in over my head, and I'm not, because my girlfriends say I'm not, but in my brain, I'm like,
hmm,
I don't know what to do. And she said, not when I drop, you get up. I'm like, okay. So I like when I play with someone who's better than me
yeah,
and coach me.
yeah.
Like we're a
I
team now.
actually
So,
like that
coach
too.
me. Yeah.
If they know what they're doing. And sometimes
Yeah.
I will do that, and then I have to remind myself maybe they don't want that. Just
I know.
you know, okay.
I tell them from
But
the
it's
jump.
also the teacher in us, because
Right.
that's what you and I have done for years. But
It's
anyway,
funny. You play with a left, so your tennis friend is left-handed. That takes some practice playing. There's
mhm,
two left-handers that we play with quite often in our group, and one of them is so cool. She understands my forehand is like I say when I'm on my forehand, I'm Barbazilla. When I'm on the other side, I'm just Barb. Because I'm so aggressive with my forehand that she invites the stack. She's like, if this
yeah,
starts falling apart, we'll stack, and I
yeah,
appreciate that because otherwise we're both trying to hit the ball up the middle, and then the sides
yeah.
aren't covered. So I like when you play with someone who wants to play as a team because
Yeah, I like
it's
lefties, maybe because of playing so many years with my partner who is the
yeah,
lefty in tennis.
yeah.
But yeah, I saw, before we get into our topic of today, I was watching a video. I don't know if you saw it either, but remember, I think it was last week we were talking about bagging, when you actually
Yep.
hit someone.
Yes. Hmm.
Okay, so I thought this was pretty funny and clever. So it was two guys, or a guy and a girl against a guy and a girl, and the girl came up and she hit the ball. Or no, yeah, she came up to the kitchen. She hits the ball. The guy on the opposing team, I'm screwing this up. Sorry. So she goes around the pole. What do we call that
Uh-huh.
again?
Yeah, ATP.
ATP. So she does an ATP, and the guy gets it, and instead of slamming it back down to where, because she just got off the court, so she's
Yeah.
off the court,
Yeah.
so he could have easily just smacked it right down there, and unless her
Yeah.
partner got over to get it, he hit it. She was
He hit he
out
hit
of the
her.
court.
I
He just
saw
hit.
that.
Did you see that? He
I
just hits
saw
it
it.
to her.
A big controversy, like, does it, what happens? It's like, yeah,
Well, no,
if you
that
hit,
counts, because
yeah, for sure.
and she
You
tried
hit
to
her, you hit
jump
her.
to miss it, but I was like, oh my God, that's just not right.
Oh, that's
I don't think I would have
clever.
done it, but
I wouldn't be
he
smart enough to do that, by the way. I
right,
wouldn't think that
to
fast.
hit it right back at
I
her.
would think hit it where they're not. Because
Right,
my whole brain right now,
right.
I'm trying to remember to hit it where they're not. Because I like
Yes.
playing patty cake. Like hit it you, hit it to me, hit it to you, hit it to me. I go back and forth.
Yeah.
The better way for you to play is maybe don't hit it right to them. Ugh.
Yeah.
So, Well, the topic
Anyway,
today is lower back. And we've talked about the core before, and we've talked about strengthening the core. And we did get into some lower back on that topic. But
yeah,
man, this is a hot topic because of all the bending over we do. So, what we really need to think about is, and I don't like to say, we used to teach classes, Tammy Lee, that people say, protect your back. I never liked saying protect the back because I felt like we were saying, you're going to like otherwise
like
you'll
you're
get
going to
hurt.
hurt your back.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I always said brace your core, strengthen your core, squeeze your glutes so the pressure doesn't go to your back. It's more words, but that
yeah.
protect your back was like so finding some hacks for us, Tammy Lee, so that we can actually have a stronger back, so mid game we don't need to go foam roll our back like I was
Yeah.
doing yesterday.
Well, a lot of times my lower back will start to ache after if I've played 2 hours of pickleball and I'm
Mm-hmm.
picking up balls, right? So
Yep.
you're bending over, you're forward flexing and picking up balls, and not a lot of times are you bending down and using your legs to pick up that ball.
Right.
Most of
Right.
it is forward flexion.
Forward
And
flexion.
as you and I talked about and know from fitness, forward flexion isn't, especially if it's loaded, isn't always the best position or movement that is more considered as a higher risk.
Mm-hmm.
So we're always trying not to injure people.
Right.
But the low back and those muscles that we're talking about is the erector spinae, and those are muscles that go along the spine. So they're on each side of the spine, and they help you actually with flexion and extension. So it puts your body back upright
Mm-hmm.
and holding up a good posture. But it also works very closely with the gluteus.
Mm-hmm.
The glutes,
Yep.
I love the glutes. I mean, we got
They're
to
my
talk about that
buns of
sometime. I
steel.
mean,
We'll have a whole thing of Yes, so
whole
fun.
about the
Time
butt.
out. Tammy Lee, Miss Buns of Steel, just said, "I like the glutes." Really, because you kind of made your fortune in your name.
Yes, it's an area that
I,
I do like.
you're very fond of.
I was definitely blessed with a backside, but you have to do something with it.
Right.
But I always used to say, sometimes you just think as the glutes are just kind of stuck there, but they help with the upper and the lower.
Mm-hmm.
So the rectus spinae needs the gluteus muscles and helping in the forward flexion. So you've got flexion and you have extension.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we tend to bend over more, and that's why it gets overused. And so a lot of
Right.
times you'll feel like, oh, I have, a backache, or why does my back hurt? Or maybe even on one side. And it could
Mm-hmm.
be as simple as those muscles, the rectus spinae are tight, or even in your hips and your glutes, and you go down to pick up something. So when I would teach classes early in the morning, I would always tell people, even though we have, you've gone through a warm up, we've cooled you down, it's cold out there. And if
Right.
you do not stretch and keep yourself warm between the class and going out to your car, and let's say
Mm-hmm.
you drop your keys and then you bend over with a rotation to pick it up, pop
Yeah.
back up, it's easy then to pull that muscle or
Yeah.
to irritate it. So you have to be considerate of the movements that you're making. And then I always talk about the positive or the negative or the team. If it's a bicep, we know our bicep partner is our tricep. If it's our
Mm-hmm.
quad, we know it's our hamstring and our quadriceps. And in the back, especially the low back, it's going to be your abdominals. So that whole core. When we talked about the core, it was kind of like everything other than your limbs, right? So the core is all of it, but it's your abs that is going to help support that. So it used to be, I don't know if it is anymore, but 8 out of 10 Americans used to end up with low back pain.
I totally
One of
believe that.
one of the main reasons is because they had weak abdominals.
Mm-hmm.
So by strengthening your abdominals, you're going to help the lower back, the erector spinae. But there are some exercises, both stretches as well as exercises that you can do to stretch them and build them up. And sometimes people don't think, well, my back hurts, I don't need to build that up. Well, yes, you do. It's weak.
Right.
You've
Right.
got, you're overusing it. It's not strong. And then if you find, I was just telling this to my Zoom class this morning, we were talking about uh, posture. So And you probably do the same thing. I know you do. We talked about this. When I look at somebody's body, like if
Mm-hmm.
I'm standing in line and I'm bored and you look at all the different bodies, we look at them in a way of, oh, that's an ectomorph or a mesomorph. Oh, look, she has lower doses. It's got a little
Mm-hmm.
kyphosis. Look at that posture. We don't look at it as what other people look at bodies.
Right.
We kind of analyze it.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can almost tell as a fitness trainer, you can look at a body and go, wow, okay, we know that we need to work on the rectus spinae, or it could be really tight. A really tight one would be gymnasts. So they
Mm-hmm.
have lower doses, they hyperextend,
Yeah.
they pull all of this back, and it's that whole ta-da. Well,
Yeah.
it's not always the best thing for that. So now you've got some pretty tight, opposing muscle groups that
Yep.
you got to work. But yeah, if you have stiffness or soreness, then there are some exercises that you need to be doing to loosen those up or to strengthen them.
What are like two of your favorites, just off the top?
Well, so and I'll make a video of this, okay?
Okay.
But one of my favorites is I will take a long towel
Mm-hmm.
and I'll get down on the floor, face down, prone position. I'll
Mm-hmm.
place that long towel along the back of my lower back and I'll
Mm-hmm.
hold it, the ends of the towel right here, as if I'm going to do a cobra, which I'm going to do. So the
Mm-hmm.
towel is tucked right on my low back. I'm holding it with my hands and then I slowly lift my torso up as if I'm doing a cobra
Mm-hmm.
stretch. And that towel puts pressure
Okay.
on that low back. I'm extending, I'm stretching it, and it feels really good. But
Mm-hmm.
in a flex position, some of the things that you can do is in a seated position, you want to just round. So if you just
Mm-hmm.
round your back, your shoulders, kind of just come forward, nice and easy, you'll feel that stretch along the rectus spinae.
Mm-hmm.
And then what you want to do, I don't know if you can tell in this position, is once you get rounded, you kind of want to turn your head from
Mm-hmm.
side to side. You want to hold each side about, I don't know, 5 seconds. It's not very long. And if you can do that and it's perfectly, you're like, okay, that was okay, but I need a deeper stretch. The other one is I would stack my hands like this. I'm still seated,
Mm-hmm.
open my thighs up a little wider here, and then drop my whole body down between my legs and drop my head. And now that's stretching all through the spine. So it's doing your flexion. And then the opposite to that would be same thing, sitting here, clasp my hands back here and just, arch. You know how you sometimes in the morning just
Yep.
like this? Well, you're doing that to open yourself back up because if you've been sleeping in that fetal position, you've tightened those muscles, you're kind of all like, and you got to get
Yep.
out of the cocoon and open yourself back up. But there's a lot of other ones that I do with the mobility sticks that I enjoy
Oh
doing.
yeah.
It's kind of the same thing. I'll go into a deep squat holding my sticks and then round into that flex position, trying to
Mm-hmm.
just get as far down and then tuck that pelvis under the tailbone, tuck it under.
Okay.
Because the more that you can do this, the more you're going to feel that stretch there.
Got. You know what's interesting too is when I do, I love deadlifts, Romanian deadlifts, any of those because I feel like that is a great way to strengthen your glutes as well as your
Yeah.
rectus spinae as you pull up
Yep.
against something that's weighted. But the problem with that one is when people do it incorrectly, the risk versus reward is so great. And I remember
Yeah.
back in the day teaching body pump at the gym, like oh, it was the most frustrating, fresh because it was quick into the music and it's 3 and 1 and 2 and 2 and blah 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 blah. And these women and men, but they're so used to being rounded that they were so rounded that it was no benefit to their glutes or their rectus spinae at all.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, or they pull their chin up when they do it. So there's so many things. And if you've seen the broomstick test for that, and I'll do a video of that because I would do that at workshops when I would train instructors and when I would
Yeah.
train the trainers, the broomstick test, because if you're going to do a deadlift at any weighted or non-weighted,
Yeah.
making sure that that stick touches your head, the middle of your back and
Yeah.
your tailbone, because the minute you pull one thing out or you round it, the stick kind of floats. So I'll do a video on that because if
Yeah.
people can nail posture on some of these exercises, I mean,
Yeah.
It's everything.
But that the stick thing is totally opposite than of the stretching what I just said.
Exactly right. Yep.
And so if you are rounding like I'm talking about, then you're not doing that deadlift correctly, like you're saying.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
this the stick. So when I get I do it with my mobility sticks. Is I'll get it here and I'll show them
Yes.
first. Do you
Yes, ma'am.
feel or see the difference in between that versus a total like going
Yeah.
into a cocoon as
And
and
I
then
think the
opening it
reason
up.
why that started too, Tammy Lee, is people pull their chin out of that. I think it started because women want to see themselves in the mirror. So they would like bend
Oh
over for a
yeah.
dead row or a dead, and they would keep their chin because they want to see themselves in the mirror. So
Yeah.
stopping that from happening was the first thing. And now when I see people doing CrossFit and pushing and pulling heavy weights, I always say if you just tuck your chin, you'd have more power. Like biomechanics is so critical in everything in all these things,
Yes.
especially when you're talking about us bending over, rounding the back. So we're stretching our back. And then you had us turn the head.
Hmm.
That is so important because if you get in that position and you turn your head, you feel a kink, then wait a second,
Yeah.
something's not exactly right here. Let me figure this piece out. So, like, body position is so important for figuring out where you're tight, where you're loose, and
Yeah.
also how to have more power so you can get more strength.
But the head, just like we had mentioned
Mm,
this on
last
another
week.
show, is, just getting yourself wherever your head is. When we look at our posture, so one of my new things that I work with my clients, I'll take a towel and put it back behind you. And if your thumbs are facing in, you want to slowly rotate them. So then your thumbs are towards your butt, they're out until you can get them totally back. And that's going to open all this up,
Mm-hmm.
stretch all the way down into, the,
Oh,
into
yeah.
your low back. But
Ooh, videos, Tammy, these
most,
videos of that
most
too.
men, my men have a really difficult time with that.
Yeah.
And men are so much tighter. We're built different. So women have wider hips where we have more flexibility in the hips. The guys, even though they have these wide shoulders, most of them, well, the ones that I'm working with, they're more my age, a little older, is, their whole shoulder, they've been athletes for most of their lives. It's broken down. They don't
Yeah.
have that full range of motion. But there are ways to getting into certain positions that you can do, even if you can't rotate it all the way back.
Mm-hmm.
Another really simple one is just doing Superman or
Yes.
Superwoman, as I like, on your
So my
stomach.
instructor this morning called us superhuman. I thought that's cute.
Superhuman. Okay, I'll take
Superhuman.
that too. You can start with just one leg and,
Mm-hmm.
opposite arm until you can work up with both. I like to do that actually off of a stability ball or the
Oh, yeah.
Bosu, lay over
Yes.
that. And it's just by coming up. And it's a good exercise as well as a stretch. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Very
And
nice.
I would suggest that when you go to pick up all of those pickleballs, when you're
Mhm.
after bending over, try and actually use it. Split your legs and go down into a squat or a split
Mhm.
lunge to try and
Mhm.
pick up the ball instead of, because this is what I see, is just bending over,
Yep.
picking
Yep.
it up, or they're doing bending over, rotating,
Mhm.
and picking it up.
Yep.
So if you're doing that over and over, and then I'll see where they'll take a big swing. So they're reaching out and swinging. I mean, there's so much of that rotation that they're going to have a sore back.
Yeah.
I mean, your body can't help but to go, well, okay, we picked up 100 balls today,
At least, depending on your
at
skill
least.
level. Hey,
Yeah.
one thing I had the ladies do yesterday, the group I work with, because one of the girls was like my lower back, and the best way to get relief on the court. So this is not prevention. This is not. This is like,
Uh-huh.
what is this called? Like, this is triage. Triage.
Yeah.
I have them do if they can, and most people can if they can be supported. But do a squat all the way down, like separate your
Mm-hmm.
feet,
Yep.
point your toes out, squat all the way down. We call
Yep.
it ass to the grass,
Yep.
and put your elbows against your knees and rock side
And
to
pushing
side.
up.
Yes, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
When we stand up, it's like immediate relief because you took that spine and you completely stretched it and you kind of wiggled it around, and then you stand up. And if they can't balance themselves, I had them hold on to the pole or
Yeah.
one of the fences and hold on to the pole
Yeah.
and squat down and lean. But
Yeah. And pull
that's
back.
And that's immediate relief. It doesn't last forever, by the way. It's good for a couple minutes, but boy,
Yeah.
it feels amazing. And that's something people should practice all the time too, is that deep squat, because it opens your
Right.
hips and it takes your
Yeah,
spine,
it's
releases
more
your
than just the
spine.
low back. You've got
Yeah.
in your hips and your knees
Yep.
yeah, it's I if I don't have sometimes I like to hold onto the pole and
Mm-hmm.
lean back
Yep.
and work myself down into that full body squat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, it
Yep,
feels
there's a
so
lot of things
good.
that you can do. So,
We'll put the videos up on one pickleball prehab on Instagram, and then I always put them on our YouTube channel as well, so you can see them in both places, which is nice.
yeah.
That's good information, and we're going to come back to the back, I'm sure, because it's the back is probably one. It's the back is probably one thing that makes people stop playing tomorrow. They'll play today and they won't play tomorrow because their back is sore. So if you can
Yeah.
find a way to strengthen your back, strengthen your core, engage your glutes, I would say fire off your glutes. Like I know it's a panacea for me, but if you can get your glutes to respond to movement, that does protect. That's like it's a
The
catch-all. It does a lot.
glutes, that's why I wanna talk about the glutes eventually because your glutes are your it's like your shield. You
Yes.
need strong glutes, and so
Yep.
when I see flat butts out there, I'm like, "Oh my
Uh.
gosh," I
Yep.
feel bad for them. So when we were talking, early on the show about our pickleball, we're losing them right and left. So tomorrow, my gang is going out to Palm Springs.
Uh-huh.
Why? It's so hot. We're going out for a pickleball girls weekend, celebrate some birthdays, play
Uh-huh.
some pickleball in the morning. Well, one girl who's supposed to be, we're celebrating, she is sick, so she's not going. And then on Sunday, another girl, she took a fall on the court.
Oh no.
And she took a fall. She kind of tripped over her own foot.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched her as she went down because most of the time people will hold out their wrist,
Mm-hmm.
right, to try and catch
Mm-hmm.
themselves, which she did, but she quickly rolled over to her shoulder, which was a better fall.
Mm-hmm.
So because you have more
Drop
protection.
and roll.
Yes, tuck and roll. So we run over to her, we get her up. Are you okay? And so her right hand being her pickleball hand, she got her paddle in her hand. And, but this hand, I'm just making sure it's not broken or anything. So we go and get her some ice. She puts the ice on here. We're making sure she's okay, but we decided it's probably best that, we'd already been playing for almost 2 hours. So we decided,
Mm-hmm.
okay, this is it. We need you for this weekend. And then
Mm-hmm.
so later that week or this past week, she texts us. She had gone to emergency and she had a small fracture in
Oh
her hand.
no.
Yeah, so she's got that all bandaged up. So we're like, oh my gosh, we're dropping like
I'm
flies
telling
here.
you, that's what I told my group a couple weeks ago. Like, we need to get it together, ladies. Like, we need to get it together. No one believes, but the stronger you are off the court, the
Yes,
more
the
likely
more
you are
you're
to be strong on the
saying, so,
court.
yes,
Yes, like,
yeah,
and funny thing
it's
about
your
that before we get to our
protector.
trivia, yes, because I noticed I've been playing so much pickleball lately that my strength training has been kind of waning a little tiny bit, and I'm back on the schedule now. Like I'm back, to 4 times a week strength training. I do lower body, upper body, full body, full body. I have a system down now, and I have to stick to it because uh, the it's important that
Your
everything
body
is.
responds. If you don't
Yes,
if you don't have
yes,
that strength, you can feel the difference when you're out there.
yes,
Hmm.
yes. So,
Yeah.
okay, trivia time.
Okay, so
I
today's
love trivia. So,
trivia.
so everyone knows. I'll remind everybody that Tammy Lee finds the trivia, and I don't even know what it is. So, we'll see.
So I think we were talking about this. I don't know on or off camera, but we were talking about rackets. Wasn't there a racket
Hmm.
that now they decide is not legal?
Yes, the Jula, J O O
Jula,
L A,
Jola, yeah. And
Jola, or
and
is
a
it
couple of
Hula, or
our players have them. So anyway, well, here's the trivia question. What is the max allowed paddle weight? Is
oh,
it
I
is it A
okay.
8.2 ounces? Is it B 8.6 ounces? Is it C 9.0 ounces, or is it no weight? In other words, it doesn't matter what the weight is.
I'm gonna go with it doesn't matter what the weight is because you want it to be lighter to be better, I'm assuming, so it doesn't matter. Because if you're stupid and want a 10-pound paddle, then have at it.
Right? We talked about that weighted paddle, remember?
Yes, so
Yes,
stupid.
yeah. So ding, 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 ding. You're right. It doesn't
Yes!
matter.
That's
It
just common
doesn't
sense.
matter.
That's just I'm just thinking here,
Yes.
just thinking
Yeah, it
about it.
should.
Yeah.
Well, it shouldn't. Nobody goes and weighs their paddles.
Right, right. When you first started and you didn't do A, B, C, D, I was thinking, crap, I have no point of reference. Like, I don't even know how much my paddle weighs.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
even
because
know.
I have one paddle that's a lot lighter than the
Yeah.
other.
Uh-huh.
And then, and I like mine with the handle longer
Yeah.
than the shorter one.
I like the
So
shorter.
you do? I like the
Yeah, isn't that
longer.
funny?
Yeah. So anyway, that is
Okay, good to know.
today's trivia.
Really quick too. Let's just talk pop culture because this killed me. There's a professional pickleball player, and I don't know his name because I don't know these things, but he
Yeah.
has a paddle that was illegal, and it's like he was found with a what do they call it? A illegal substance, and the
Oh
substance
yeah.
was the paddle. I'm like, what are we gangsters now in pickleball? He
I
had
saw that
contraband.
too.
He goes, I didn't use it ever. I didn't even know I had it with me. I
But I
didn't. I'm
didn't
like,
get
well,
it. What was the
I
problem?
don't know. I have no idea. It wasn't clear enough, or the story was so boring. I didn't invest any time, and I got stuck on the fact that he was charged $50,000. I went straight to the comments. The comments like,
Wow.
"What? This guy's making this much money," and I just kept thinking, "We have illegal." The guy was, and he can't play for a year. And then today I read he's so humble. He's like, "I know I shouldn't have had it. I did the wrong thing. Although I didn't play with it, never planned on. I'll take whatever's coming my way." I'm thinking, okay, Scotty Scheffler. Like, okay.
Yeah.
I was laughing, like, okay,
Yeah,
pickleball's trying to like get in the news right now.
I think we're going to see more and more
Yeah.
pickleball news. Yeah, for
Doping's
sure.
next. Doping's next. But when we get steroids, it's going to be like for our backs or something. Like when we get like steroid injections, like we're doing steroids, but it's going to be like, cortisone, or it's going to be things because
Yes,
we're freaking old. It's not going to be the same.
that's right.
Oh,
Give
well,
me
this
some
is fun.
lubrication.
Seriously, I just thought when I read that, I thought,
Um,
okay, we're going there now with pickleball. Okay, okay. Like,
yeah.
what's it called? Oh, and then my girlfriend's got one of those. We talked about the illegal paddles. So every time she takes a swing, Kimmy goes, "Well, it's because she got the point because it's illegal. It's an illegal paddle." And she's like, "I'm not playing in the pro circuit." So I love any
Yeah.
controversy like that because it makes people talk about pickleball. And the argument now is it's not a sport, and I don't care what anyone says. It is a sport.
It's a
I
sport.
It is a
Don't you think
sport.
it's eventually going to be in the Olympics?
I do, but there has to be so many changes. You can't make your own calls. It can't be subjective. Like
No.
I think it was that. Like that needs to change. There's certain things that need to get organized with. Um, you know, there are certain things that need to do. But I do believe that because you have to be an athlete,
Yeah.
obviously, to
Yeah.
play at any level of pickleball.
Yeah.
You have to. You're skipping, hopping, jumping, running. Granted, we're not tackling people but it's strategy.
I hope not. We would not be playing.
Though yesterday at the Pickler, there was four guys, four full-on young bangers playing, and the one dropped, hit, and rolled, and hit the gate next to us. I'm like, what are we doing here? What this is like a full contact sport all of a sudden? I was
I think
dying.
it is with the young ones for
Oh, they
sure.
were so funny. They were like hitting the ball into our court, and we're like, dude, like at that the ball in my court never bothers me because no one is intentionally doing that. But these guys were
Yeah.
hitting, dropping, rolling, falling. I mean, everything but jumping over the net to get the ball. It was fun to watch, but it was a lot for me. It was a lot.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so we'll see you same time next week. We always say
All
that.
right.
We're on a schedule right now about every 10 days to 2 weeks for the podcast. It feels like about every 10 days we're releasing them. So we'll see you in the next 7 to 10 days.
Yeah. And remember, if you have questions, please reach out to us. And I'm going to just a side note, I have
Yeah.
some openings for some new clients, online clients. So if anybody is looking to needing some fitness guidance or workouts, then hit me up.
Perfect. And also on in the caption for this podcast and on the YouTube channel, there is her website. We can reach out to her too. So there's actually a contact
Yeah.
for her on that. So yeah, if you're looking for some amazing training, this is your gal.
Hey,
All
come.
right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.